Welcome to the Class of 87 podcast, where the memories are a little blurry, the laughter's still loud, and nobody's quite sure how we got this old. Your host today is Peter van Niekerk. I'm Barry Bradley. We've got Lester Thorson and David Hugo in the studio, and we are interviewing Jackie Dhaeyere. You may know her as Jackie Wilson from 1987. We're catching up with the legends of Bryanston High, and Jackie's right in there. The rebels, the prefects, the heartthrobs, and the ones who just tried not to get caught. To find out where life took them and what they remember, or pretend to remember, about those unforgettable years. So grab a drink, put up a chair, and let's see what really happened behind those school gates. Pete, over to you.
Hi, Jax. I hope you're well. I know I do see you a little bit now, but we didn't see each other for many, many years. Thanks to Barry, we met up again. But I think we're just going to start with our questions and let's take it from here. I just want to tell you, David has got elephant memory, so he's going to be sure to check up on some of the facts. Well, we all know Lester. Oh, yes. Are we going to get into that? Okay. School memories.
Yeah, bo.
Are you ready to answer some?
I most definitely am.
Just so we know how you got to Bryanston High School in the 87 group. How did you get here? Were you dragged in by Daryl like all of us, or was it a different one?
No. I had been at Bryanston Primary, so I literally just went up the road. But my father was determined to send me to St. Mary's in Waverley, and I said I did not want to go there. In fact, I said, over my dead body, am I going to St. Mary's? And that's how I ended up at Bryanston High, much to my father's disgust.
You might have said you're not a nun. You don't go to St. Mary's.
You know what? I've always been a little allergic to all-girl environments. Going to an all-girl school was not appealing to me at all.
If you think about Bryanston High School, what is your first memory? Is it the first day, or don't you remember that like most of us?
No, so I think the very first thing that comes to mind is kind of blue blazers. That's what I think of when I think of Bryanston High. And there is one photograph in particular which comes to mind. It was one that was taken in the early days. I think it was Standard 6. And we were all kind of hanging out in a quad outside of the gymnasium. And it's just a fun picture of a whole lot of boys and girls hanging out together. And everyone looks happy and smiley. And that's probably the thing I remember.
What would have happened at school that you wouldn't want your kids to know? Now, I'm actually thinking most of the stuff I did at school, I wouldn't want kids to know, but what was one thing you did?
Well, my kids actually do know most of what I did at school, and I actually never hesitate to tell them because I have two very, very, very good children. So I kind of tell them every now and then about the things I got up to and that I survived it, and I'm here to tell the stories. So there's not too much, Pete, that I got up to that I wouldn't want them to know about.
So you're not saying too much. I'm listening for the little bit that you wouldn't want them to.
Well, I also have a sister who liked to divulge all my stories. So they are aware that I used to smoke at school. They're aware that I had a boyfriend who used to throw rocks at a window in my bedroom in order to wake me up in the middle of the night.
Please don't tell me you were under the tree in the corner at the back of the school having cigarettes during your
No, funnily enough, I don't have a single memory of smoking at school.
Oh, well, there we go.
I smoked, but not at school.
Okay, well, that's good. If you had to put you back in uniform for one day, what would you do differently?
Oh my gosh, I don't
know that I'd do anything. And it's not Barry from when you were in Standard 6.
No, we wouldn't want to spoil a good thing. I'm glad I got Barry when I did. What would I do differently? I don't know that I actually would do much differently. I might try a little harder on the sports field. I don't think I tried very hard when it came to sport, to be honest. Didn't do very well either. So I like to blame it on a lack of effort rather than a lack of talent or a lack of skill.
I doubt this is you, but any detentions, suspensions, or near misses we should know about?
No, I had some detentions. My dad has a similar, well, I know Barry will not believe this, but I actually am more often than not a little bit late for things than I am on time. And my dad would always battle to get us to school on time. So I got lots and lots of demerits for being late at school. And yeah, I got the odd detention for talking in class and that kind of thing. I do remember once being called to Roy Page's office. And I think at that stage I was in matric and there were 3 Jackie Wilsons at Bryanston High at the time. And I was actually chatting to Sue Wilson on Sunday because I remember an instance where another Jackie Wilson had been called to Page's office. And when I arrived, there was this little one in kind of Standard 6 looking absolutely petrified. And I said to her, don't worry, I think he wants me. And as it turned out, that was Sue Wilson's little sister. And Sue said her sister actually remembers the story as well.
I remember Mr. Page as well, intimately. So, did you go on matric vac?
Yes.
And who did you go with? And are there any stories to tell? But you have to keep it brief.
Oh, loads. So I went on matric vac with Claire and Karen and Karen, and we hooked up with various people. One of the groups was a group of boys we were friendly with from St. Stithians, but we were all dirt broke. We went to Plettenberg Bay, and we ended up renting a nursery school that belonged to a church because they'd let us have it for next to nothing. And we had communal toilets, stalls for boys and girls. And I remember the baths were also in an open area. So whenever anyone is in the bath, you'd be given about 3 seconds notice, and then anybody could come barging in during that holiday. So that's the thing that I remember.
And you know what those Sicilians boys did.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's always a bit funny. You got Bryanston kids going, oh, we had no money, so we went to Plettenberg Bay. But okay, let me just leave it at that.
Right,
well, I can guarantee you we were staying in the shoddiest of accommodation in Plettenberg Bay.
Jax, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to hand you over to Lester for our rapid fire section. So, Les, over to you.
Jax, thanks for being brave enough to do this. And quick questions, no embellishments, whatever comes to mind first.
Yeah, boy.
Who were your closest friends at school, and are you still in touch?
Karen, Claire, yes.
Were you more of a rebel, a teacher's pet, or somewhere in between?
No, I'd say I was more of a rebel.
What subject or teacher stands out the most, good or bad reasons?
I only really remember 2 teachers. Netling. No, in fact, I remember 3. Netling, Smith. Netling was an English teacher. Smith was a geography teacher. And Capini was a maths teacher. And I remember she smoked like the proverbial chimney, even while she was teaching us.
Did you have a high school crush, a fellow pupil, or even a teacher?
I did think Mr. Netling was rather cute, along with a whole lot of other people. But my genuine crush was a boy who was about a year or 2 ahead of us, Jeffrey Earnshaw. Oh, I had a massive crush on him.
I haven't been mentioned yet.
You feature much later, my angel.
Did you ever date anyone at VHS?
Yes, I did. John Holland.
What?
Yeah.
What song, smell, or memory instantly takes you back to 87?
Tainted Love. That's the song I remember.
And Jax, were you bullied by anyone? You don't have to mention names.
Only Mrs. Andrews. She used to make me turn my back to the class, and she'd poke a ruler in my ponytail and tell everybody this is what a rat's nest looked like.
80s baby. Did you bully anyone?
Not that I can think of. No, I genuinely didn't. But I was in myself and Leanne Hunter were in 10C, which was predominantly girls. We only had one boy in our class, and there were kind of 3 groups in my class. We had the nerds. That was made up of a whole lot of girls who were really, very nerdy. Then there were the bitches. They were a group of girls who were really, really nasty and spent their entire lives picking on the nerds. And then myself and Kurt and Leanne extricated ourselves from all the nonsense that was going on in the class.
Finally, do you remember Elon Musk?
Not one bit. But I learned from my sister about 6 months ago that apparently he was our next door neighbor while I was at high school.
What?
And I had no recollection of that whatsoever.
Jax, we're going to just move to life after ACL. We're still in the rapid fire. Just give us a brief synopsis after you reject. What path did you take, and did everything go according to plan?
Does anything ever go according to plan? Dave, I left Bryanston. I went to Maritzburg Varsity. I enrolled to do a BSc, but I hated it after my first year, so I switched over to social science. I ended up doing my honors in psychology, all 4 years at Maritzburg. I then came back to Joburg. I worked at Coca-Cola for a little while. I then decided to go overseas. I went to London for 2.5 years. I came back to South Africa because my visa had expired. I couldn't stay there any longer. I think I went back to Coke at that point, met up with somebody who was in market research. She got me a job at a company called Research Surveys, and that pretty much began my career in market research, which is what I've been doing ever since. Largely in corporate, but the last 10 years I've been independent.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Can you just tell us how which cities, countries and all that you lived in? Where did you meet your husband, stuff like that?
So I've lived in Joburg most of my life. I obviously spent 4 years in Maritzburg. I spent just over 2.5 years in London. I met my ex-husband in Johannesburg. He'd been sent here on a working contract with Honda to start a parts division up in South Africa, and we got involved quite quickly and we got engaged. And after about 2 years, we were married, and I then lived in Belgium for about 2.5 years. But I wasn't very happy in Belgium. So fortunately, Clifford agreed to come back to South Africa. We came back to Joburg and we lived there for a good few years after that, had 2 children in Joburg, and then got divorced about 4 years ago. And I'm still in Joburg now.
Jax, can you tell us about one unexpected turn in life that you never saw coming?
Meeting Barry Bramley.
I was so hoping to come up in a different question.
No, that's the one, sweetie. And it was, wow, it completely and utterly blindsided me, but it was lovely. And it still is.
I think it blindsided everyone at the Bryanston Country Club back in 2022. So 2022. And just on that note, Jax, have you stayed in touch with anyone other than Claire, Karen, and Corin?
I have reconnected with Leanne Hunter in the last few years. Probably, I think the first time I reconnected with her was at the 20th reunion, and it's really lovely to be friendly with Lee again. I'm very, very fond of her. And other than that, just a whole lot of other people who I hadn't really given much thought to since I left school, but I've been to all the reunions and I've loved reconnecting with everyone practically.
I don't know what she sees when we're all out as the clans, but no mention of David, Peter, Lester.
Obviously doesn't talk to us.
They're included in all the other people that I've reconnected with.
You're in the others bucket, boys.
And Jax, what's something 17-year-old you would be shocked to know about what you are today?
That you'd like Barry.
That's tricky. What would my 17-year-old self be shocked to know about me? I don't think anybody plans to get divorced. So that probably is something that would have shocked my 17-year-old self. I think, my 17-year-old self would have been more comfortable with having been a single parent than a divorced parent.
Wow, that's fun.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. And just finally, sort of on the subject of life after 87, who or what has been your biggest influence or turning points?
If I just think about if I kind of chunk my life up, I think Maritzburg varsity was a great 4 years. It was an awesome experience. I really enjoyed that. In terms of work, I've had really great working experiences, particularly at South African breweries and at KFC. I worked with and for really awesome people. I had great bosses at KFC, really visionary, out-the-box, smart people. I also worked with an amazing consultant at KFC. And I think since then, just anybody who I've connected with within my neuromarketing interest has been really influential in my life, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see you remember everyone from like the 1987, but you don't remember us at the clans. But that's...
Speaks more to what happens at the clans.
Yes.
Okay, Jax, let's move on to your family and personal life, even though I think we've touched on it quite a lot, and maybe this could be really quick fire. Currently, partner, kids, pets, anyone else?
Yes, I've currently reconnected with a high school boyfriend. He wasn't actually my boyfriend in high school, but we played kissing catches in Standard 5, and I still have love letters from him, and I'm delighted to say I'm reconnected with him now. We've been together for just over 3 years. Yeah, been great.
So
It hasn't all been smooth sailing, but it's been great.
Okay, kids?
I have 2 kids. I have one in grade 10 at St. Stithians, a boy, and my daughter is in first year university at Tux.
Pets?
I only have one pet left, a miniature schnauzer. He had a sister who passed away about 6 months ago. No, maybe longer. Probably going on almost a year ago. And we've had lots of cats in our life. Cats who traveled backwards and forwards between South Africa and Belgium, but they're all gone now.
Okay, this is one thing I always think about myself, but what's something you learned about family or relationships that you wish you knew back then?
Just that I think that relationships are as good as what you put into them.
What do you do in your free time? Hobbies, passions, quirks?
I probably, my escape time is probably in front of the TV, Pete, getting involved in a good movie or a good series. I don't read as much as I would like to anymore, mainly because I kind of save my reading for when I go to bed at night, and I've only got about 10 minutes left in me. But when I go on holiday, I love reading. I love traveling, and I want to do more of that when I'm more free in the years to come. I love being on holiday. I love holidays. And I love cooking. I do enjoy cooking, and I do enjoy hosting, although I don't do as much of it as I used to.
Is there, and we're not taking divorce as a life disaster, because sometimes it's just a learning curve. Have you had any real life disaster?
No, I have, Pete. I mean, I've lost both of my parents, which happened quite a long time ago. I mean, I've been without my parents for 10, 15 years. So that was a big thing for me. That was massive. I was very close to my parents, and I miss them a lot. I still miss them even now. I wish they were still around.
Jax, we're going to move on to work and purpose. And you told us you're in neuroscience. You've told us about breweries, about Coke, about KFC. I know that there are other brands, Standard Bank, Nando's. So there's lots of brands that you've been involved in on your way to where you are today in terms of being an independent business working in neuroscience. But is there anything that stands out for you that you're proud of professionally in terms of your work?
I think the main thing is just really where I've ended up right now, because it's incredibly important, and I think that not everyone has kind of got on board this particular bus yet, but I think I'm on the right side of history, and as it gains more and more momentum, I get really excited because I think it's relevant and I think it's meaningful and I think it makes a difference.
You're talking about neuroscience,
yes,
or neuro research, neuro-driven
the
research.
the implications really of neuroscience for what I do and for so much more. You know, understanding so much about how our brains function is really, really interesting and really, really useful.
Are there any total career disasters, or maybe to lighten up a funny work story that you might want to share?
Oh, plenty.
Give us one.
I remember still being very wet behind the ears in my first research role. And you join research companies and you're a complete skivvy and you just get dropped in the deep end and you basically just kind of do what everybody tells you to do. And somebody had told me to send a cost to the client. So I printed out a cost sheet, but had completely not realized that this was an internal cost sheet. And I sent the whole thing off to the client with a breakdown of all our multiplication factors and the whole story. And when I told the person who I worked for that I'd done this, she had a small freak out, jumped in a car, sped across to the client's office and whipped it off their fax machine before they got a chance to look at it.
God bless the days of fax.
Yeah, I want to say email.
Absolutely.
All right, a bit of a more reflective question to end off the work and purpose section. If you could go back, give your younger self one piece of career advice, what would it be, knowing what you know now?
I think don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go after what you want. Believe in yourself and just do it as best you can. And starting is better than, even if you start imperfectly, it's better than not starting at all.
I'm going to hand back to Pete because the next section is called Fun and Slightly Naughty. So I think Pete's probably the right one to do this piece.
I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, listen, and please, I want you to be a bit graphic if you can. Any secret talents or party tricks your classmates never knew about?
No.
I think that's more a boy question than a girl question.
Yeah. Most of my party tricks are no longer secret. They're out there. Everybody knows about them.
So here's one. Is there anything that could have been considered criminal that you did back at school?
No, I do remember when I was very, very young, I used to take the change I'd been given by my parents to add to the church collection box, and I used to keep it.
Okay, that's one. Which teacher would you most want to have a drink with now, and what would you ask them?
I'd probably want to see Mr. Nettling, and I'd say to him, what were you thinking?
Okay, what do you think he was thinking?
Well, I think he was thinking he could get away with it, but he didn't. Does he know that we all
it's
knew?
rumored that he did a few times, but let's leave that at that. What was your go-to outfit or look in the late 80s?
God.
Be honest. Did you have long jerseys that went up your hands?
No. I mean, there were times when my father would walk 3 or 4 meters ahead of me because he'd tell me I looked like a poor white and he didn't want to be associated with me. I had big hair that I used to tease, and honestly, it was massive. I think I was very into shoulder pads at one stage and knickerbocker pants that were kind of just beneath your knees. Yeah, okay. The 80s were some funny fashions.
Listen, I'm going to hand over to Lester for our next rapid fire section.
Okie dokes.
Right, here we go. Jax, if you had to describe your life since 1987 in a headline, what would it say?
Happy.
Do your children think your 80s photos are cool, or or cringe?
I think they think they're pretty cringe.
Yeah. Who at school did you think was the most likely to end up making headlines?
Probably Tammy Letcher.
Who was the biggest class clown during your time at BHS?
Well, we only had one potential clown in my class. That was Kurt van Bruggenbrock, but he wasn't in my class, but I put my money on Barry Bramley.
Are you right there?
Did you ever sneak out, fake a sick note, or skip class for something?
Oh,
memorable?
yes. So over the weekends, we would sneak out regularly, but during school, it got to about halfway through my matric year, and I realized I had never bunked a day of school. So me and my mates, being Karen, Claire, we said there's no ways we're finishing school without having bunked a day. So we planned a day, and a friend of mine from St. Stithians, Timmy, came to fetch us from school in his car. We had all gone across to Bryanston shopping centre and changed into civilian clothing, and we spent the whole day at Timmy's house watching movies and just not being at school. It was fab.
Beautiful. If we looked inside your school bag back in the 80s, 87, would we find anything out of the ordinary?
Cans of hairspray and cigarettes.
And what's one thing that still makes you feel 17?
Barry.
I like that.
So you like that.
Go on.
Well, Jack, we're not quite done. Get serious now. Just look back and reflect on how Bryanston High shaped us. How would you think that Bryanston High shaped what the person that you are today?
I know that Bryanston, both my kids have now been at private schools, and, I come across loads and loads of people who've also been at private schools. And sometimes I think to myself, I might have got a better quality education, but I'm not sure I would have had a happier time. I had a really, really happy adolescence. And funnily enough, I remember school, but most of my adolescent memories are of my social life during school. I loved being at a co-ed school. I really did. I really loved that. And I think that had an impact to some extent. I enjoy the company of boys.
And Jace, if you could say one thing to your younger self in the trip, what would that be?
You're okay.
I think that's actually...
Yeah, that's a nice one. I like that.
That's a great one. Yeah. And people that are at Bryanston High, the youngsters at Bryanston High today, what advice would you give them?
Don't spend too much time on social media.
Jax, thanks so much. That's been brilliant so far. I just want to say it's so great having this bond, this 87 bond, and knowing that I'm growing older with a group of classic people. So I'm thinking of, we're all going through similar issues now: menopause, erectile dysfunction, divorces, mental health issues. Is there anything that, from what you've learned over the last few years, that you'd like to share? Any tips for staying healthy, or what to our alumni?
I think do everything in moderation. I think everything in moderation is cool, but the good stuff and the bad stuff.
And Jax, I think in closing, we've kept you long enough, and I thank you very much for your time. If we had to have a song that plays out as this podcast closes for you, and it could be Tainted Love, plays and fades out, what would that song be?
For some reason, Rick Astley's "I'm Never Gonna Give You Up" comes to mind.
We were going to ask what you're never going to give up, but let's just leave it on that. One last thing, and this is something that takes up a fair amount of time in our discussions at the clans, not ours with you while you're not there, is we've decided to try and find out where one of our fellow students is. And that person is Glavkos Varkas. We all have such vivid memories of him, but no one knows where he is. So we're going to try and make this as a bit of a running thing. Can you think where he is? And have a bit of fun if you want.
I have no idea, Pete. But when you find him, please show me, because I'm one of the few that doesn't have vivid memories of him.
Or maybe it was just the guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Jax, thank you very much for your time. And that's another walk down memory lane with the class of 87. Older, wiser, and still laughing at the same old jokes. Thanks for listening. And remember, you can leave Bryanston High, but Bryanston High never really leaves you. Until next time, stay cheeky, stay curious, and keep the stories coming.